Welcome back to TRWOW Season 4, Round 8. This round's quote is, "Might die with these, but I think the first one is really funny." Which response or responses is Epsilon talking about? You'll just have to watch to find out. The prompt this round was, in Greek mythology, King Midas had the power to turn anything he touched into gold. Now, you've just been granted a similar power. You can turn anything you touch into a material of your choosing. Which material do you choose, and how will you use your power? Out of the 5 contestants who entered round 8, no one will prize, as I mentioned last round, since getting to the podium is already your reward. That means 3 people will survive and 2 people will die, which is the highest real elimination percentage in this TRWOW, at 40%. Since our 30% elimination rate rounds 30% of 5, which is 1.5, up to 2. Regardless, we had 1 eulogy this round and no confessionals. This eulogy was from Normal Ben, who died last round. He said, "Kinda sucks that I died, but that's pretty obvious. But 6th in a TRWOW as stacked as this is more than I could have dreamed of. My first and second round win were both in this TRWOW. It's honestly crazy. Rooting for Arnie and Rhyme. Can't wait for Season 5, Troll." Thanks, Normal Ben. Seeing you pop off in those 2 rounds was crazy as well. I hope you join next season. You're a wonderful contestant and a great person to have around in this community. That out of the way, it's time to finally start round 8 reveals. Or, I should say, the round 8 dummy reveals. 4 Dice, since you've been such a good sport in this TRWOW, I've decided to fulfill your wish by revealing the dummies first. So, 4 Dice's dummy was coffee beans to espresso, while my life choices can be compared to coffee. They suck. Well, I can't really fault you for using a pun. I mean, I loved TRWOW Meta back in 2020, but it was just puns. I think this was the most philosophical out of the responses. I don't know. Not really pragmatic per se, but did the voters mind that? Let's find out. Yeah, with a score of 26.19%, you're not exactly improving your reputation in this TRWOW. The other dummy came from Normal Ben, who died last round. Glad you're still active in this community. He said, "Skittles, becoming the guy in the ads, live out your dream of touching the rainbow." Now, I've never actually had Skittles before. I have had M&Ms, which are the same thing, I think. I'm assuming that's the slogan of the Skittles company. But did voters like this response? Let's see if they did. Oops. Not bad, with a score of 47.62%. If you were a contestant, you'd probably place mid-pack. Although, this is just less than a percent higher than what you placed last round, which is your death percent. Regardless, it's not a bad percent overall for a TRWOWer. Okay, with the dummies out of the way, let's start the real contestant reveals. Up first is our previous round winner, and round winner of 3 other rounds beside the previous round, Evrion. She had 3 responses, but I'll only be revealing the top 2. Her last placing response was gold. Using my powers on participation trophies, I appear to have won 2 golds. Better than nothing, IG. Or I guess. You know, in a prompt about King Midas, you'd think that someone would respond with a material that wasn't gold. So I'm not surprised that this response did the worst. Her second placing response was, turning salt into pure H2O. My thirst goes down, and any water becomes fresh water. You'll notice that Everyone's first and second responses both include a chemical compound, which is pretty interesting, I'd say. Anyways, I like the second part of this response. Since, well, if you drink seawater, the salt becomes pure water, and then you can consume it like it's fresh water. Amazing. I think it's better than her first response, but let's see where the voters put it. Okay, 42% isn't bad for a DRP. Remember, what matters is the first response. So, Exhaled CO2 transforms into electricity. Aw, shit. My Tesla ran out of battery. Just need to blow. Well, here's a swear in a TRWOW response, which we don't see very often. I think this is one of the only responses that didn't actually mention a material object. But I still like it, because, I mean, you're basically blowing electricity out of your mouth. It's like a Pokemon. Did the voters appreciate this? Let's see. With a score of exactly 50.00%. It seems like half did and half maybe didn't. Regardless, it seems you split the leaderboard into two, or the reveal board. Those who place above you and those who place below you in the above average or below average zone. Let's see if that's enough to keep you safe for this round. Up next is our previous second placer and also second in standardized ranks, Arnoob. His second response was, my bubble wrap fishing rod doesn't require bait. Like humans, fish cannot resist satisfying popping. I have to agree with you, Arnoob. I can't resist bubble wrap too, even though I haven't popped any in ages. Creative use with a fishing aspect, which I would have never thought of. Let's see if the voters appreciated this creativity. With a score of 45% on your DRP, you're marginally above Evryon's DRP. Your better scoring response was, turning dice into dough, stretching them sideways reveals additional circles, manipulating rolls. I'll be honest, I didn't really understand this response, and it was the only response I didn't understand. It's really specific, turning dice into dough. I think it has to do something with the pips on the dice, but I'm not really sure. Well, it confused me, but it's a good thing I'm not a voter. Let's see what the voters thought of it. With a score of 54.29%, you've placed above Evryon, but that doesn't secure your safety yet, because you need to beat 2 people to be safe in this round. Up next is Rhyme, who will either be the first person to be declared safe, or will declare Arnoob as the first person safe. Their second response was, transform anything into paper, improvising crafty projectiles, give enemies piercing paper cuts. If you're a Paper Mario fan, you might notice that some of the music in this video is actually from Super Paper Mario. This is actually unintentional, I literally just noticed it now, but I kind of like its response. You know, it reminds me of those paper cartoons or Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which is a series I really enjoyed reading as a child. Let's see if the voters liked it similarly as me. Seems they did. 53.57% for your DRP, which means you've already placed above Evryon, but that doesn't secure your safety yet, because there's still Arnoob, who placed marginally above you. Now, your first response was, turning the crowd into sapphire improves my comedy routine. Why so blue? Was it something I said? As a blue book myself, I have to commend you for this blue glorifying response, you know? It reminds me of when long TR was new and everyone was saying, why the long face TR? You know, with reference to the long book. To me, it's a great response, but let's see if voters echo this thought. Wow, 70%. Looks like they really did. That's a potential winning percentile right there. And it's especially fabulous for a final 5 placing response. Regardless, this means Rhyme is the first person to be declared safe. With our limited contestant pool remaining, it means that even at our 4th review, we're already at our first 1x1. It's late Worm 41 on the attacking position, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Evryon on the defensive position. Either Late Worm or Evryon is about to go home. Late Worm's second response was, Flex Tape Touch has a tiny radius. slightly touching pipes cement my reputation as the master plumber. That's a lot of damage. Flex tape is an international meme slash phenomenon. I like it. You know, it's a creative twist on something we've seen everywhere, and it's not like you're repairing a boat or taping together a fish tank like we've seen in those commercials. Well, if you beat Evrion with your DRP, she goes home immediately, our frontrunner. If you don't, then it's still up for the coming with the main response. Let's see what the voters thought of Late Worm's second. And that is the biggest upset I've seen in this TRWOW. With just your DRP, you've eliminated Evrion. I'm sorry, but Evrion, your run was fantastic as the front runner for several rounds, but it looks like you just couldn't hold that until now. It was amazing to see you play and dominate, but your journey comes to an end now. Thank you for playing. Well, of course, we still need to review Late Worm's first placing response, which was caution. Printing JPEGs of trendy posts. Satisfied, this should be a t-shirt, commenters everywhere. Maybe your domination over Evrion this round should be a t-shirt, eh? Reminds me of that Jackbox game, TKO, where you can print your drawings out as a t-shirt. You know, I love Jackbox. Let's see if the voters like this response. More than rhymes? Less than rhymes? Who knows? Oh wow, even better than 70%. You're at 73.57%, which is absolutely astounding. Fortunately, there's no prizes this round. Well, it's all down to this. The battle for the final podium spot. It's between Arnoob and Epsilon. Epsilon's second response was, I'm deathly afraid of change. By turning everything into Gorilla Glue, it'll definitely stay the same. Honestly, I like this second response better than your first response. It's just so absurd that it's perfect for a TRWOW response. Let's see if the voters thought it was equally absurd, but also hilarious. Okay, 33.57% for DRP. Well, that doesn't matter pragmatically, because it's the first response which really determines your ranking. Epsilon's first response, which he alluded to in the round title, the one he thought was really funny, was, by turning anything I want to buckets, I'll lead the Hornets to 12 consecutive NBA championships. Doing a bit of research, the Hornets are a basketball team native to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is the state Epsilon's from. So, if you actually did a bit of research, you might have been able to deduce who submitted this response, which is a bit cool, or maybe not a clever move on Epsilon's part, though I doubt anyone did the actual research. Epsilon, you need to beat Arnoob's score of 54.29 to get into the final three. Let's see if you did it. Epsilon, I'm sorry to cut your dreams off, but with a score of only 43.57%, it's the end of the line for you. You were prophetic in your words that you might die with these, but I did think your responses were funny. Thank you for sticking around till the end. In other news, Arnoob, our second place in standardized ranks, scrapes into the final three with a score of 54%. Not bad. So it looks like Late Worm, Rhyme, and Arnoob will be going head-to-head in our semi-final round next round. See who makes the true finale. Let's check the votes over time, or the scores over time. As you can see, Late Worm actually started off with a last place vote, but over time managed to claw his way up the percentage leaderboard. 4 Dice was always doing badly. I'm sorry, dude. You're really not improving your reputation here. And after the 5th vote or so, it became clear that Late Worm, Rhyme, and Arnoob were much ahead of the other two, and were going to clinch the victory and the podium. Though Epsilon and Evrion did trade places a little bit in the middle. Arnoob, Rhyme, and Late Worm were actually winning throughout the voting period. They switched places, but Late Worm finally managed to clinch out the victory. Here's a graph of ranks over time. Perhaps you can see the top 3 domination more clearly. In fact, actually, Evrion's second response is doing better than her other response for a little bit in the beginning. Here's the ranks of the first responses over time, if it's any more clear. Including dummies. Let's see the leaderboard. An interesting statistic to note is that every response this round received at least 1 last place vote, except for Rhyme's second. Never seen that phenomenon occur before, especially when there's 14 votes and 13 responses. Well, since I have non-affecting dummies on, it might have given a few last place votes to the dummies, but still, pretty interesting. Well, there you have it, TRWOW's final 3. One of these final 3 will place bronze, 1 silver, and 1 will win it all. Who will those contestants be? You'll just have to wait and find out for Season 4, Round 9. Thanks for watching, goodbye, and good luck.